Back here for another episode of the Meat Speak podcast, powered by the certified Angus beef brand. Brian Schaff here with me, Chef Tony Biggs.
Brian, when is the last time you and I were together? Let's see. I've been to Cayman. You've been to New York. We have been running hard. We've been running, run, Forrest, run, baby. Hey, let's talk about beef today, my man.
Yeah, Chef, you know, one of the things that I learned from our good friend Jonathan Sawyer from Cleveland years ago when we were talking about trends and how to be different, right? And one of the things that he suggested is the idea that when you see everybody else turning left, you turn right. When everybody else goes in this direction, you change course and go this direction. And the quicker you can be to be that one who changes direction, well, by golly, you're going to be at the front end of trends.
Are you talking about being different?
I am talking about
being different.
I am. And so in a day and age when everybody is looking for what's hip, what's new, I get asked the question, hey, what cuts are out there that I don't know? And believe it or not, the cows are not growing more cuts, right? The cow is the same cow, or the steer is the same steer that has existed. It's not like they're growing new parts.
Yes.
Every once in a while there's an extra rib in there, but that's more of the anomaly, right? But in a day and age when everybody is looking for different cuts, serratus ventralis, and different cuts from the sirloin, and beef navel, and Vegas strip steaks, and all these things like that, let's talk about middle meats, which, is meat industry term for those steakhouse classics, your tenderloin, your ribeye, your strip steak, all the things that are so the antithesis of what is hip, that they are, by definition now, by trends, they're hip, right?
Hey, Brian, that's how I started. That's how I learned how to eat beef, was middle meats. Let's face it. Strips, fillets, and ribeyes are the most popular, probably, cuts in the world. Maybe, at least in America, right? I mean, you go to any steakhouse, what is on the menu? Those three cuts. Now you're seeing different things, but, back in the 70s, my dad owned a restaurant called the Granary Inn, and we had, my dad loved red meat. He loved steak. And his thing is exactly what we're talking about. You have to be different in the restaurant, or people are just not going to come. I was a singing waiter at his. I'm not gonna sing here for you, but I'm going to tell you more about the menu of what we did and how we were different. And he really pushed the envelope back in those days, and folks have gotten away from these things. Let's just say the classic Chateaubriand, served on a silver platter from your grandmother's cupboard, etched with different etchings on that beautiful silver platter, with a bouquetiere of vegetables, 2 sauces, bordelaise and a hollandaise sauce. And when that platter came out, it was just like you wanted. I mean, back in those days, those should have been the social media days, taking photos of those type of dishes, and having the waiter, having that service waiter come out and actually carve it beautiful, medium rare, juicy in your mouth, right? I don't see that anymore on the menus, right?
Yeah.
A thing we used to do was steak and quail. Now, we were out in Buffalo, in the suburbs of Buffalo, New York, and he always believed that, hey, let's do a stuffed quail with a little bit of crab wrapped in bacon, roasted, but you can have a petite fillet or a strip steak with that. We used to sell crazy. You've heard of surf and turf. Everybody does it, right? They're doing it now. Everybody's got a different cut with a different part of seafood. But how about a steak and quail? I mean, that was just incredible. We used to do prime rib on the weekends, just a roasted herb, rosemary, garlic, crusted prime rib with a big, beautiful baked potato and a popover and a nice, beautiful vegetable. I mean, that's what we did. We fresh prime rib. We would cook them fresh, not serve them, the next day. We would do something else with it. But, people are looking for that Sunday roast, as we always talk about.
Yeah, it almost seems as though there has been such a push to find things that are these hidden nuggets, that are these golden nuggets that, maybe they require a little bit more love. Maybe they require a little bit more prep, a little more, maybe I have to sous vide it, for 2 days to get it to surrender and break down to the point where, yeah, this is going to be really good. That we've forgotten that those cuts, those things that you just mentioned, all those really need a little salt, a little pepper, a little flame, and it's beautiful on their own. We've almost forgotten these things that are these sure things.
Pete Naples was the best broiler man that my dad ever hired in his life, and this guy was a magician. I'm talking magician. He could have 20 things on. We had one grill, but he was doing French onion soup au gratin, mushrooms au gratin, 10 different steaks that he had to keep the temperatures in his mind. And there was no sous vide back in those days, my friend.
Yeah.
Right? Those are like, how do you want it? Cook it up, salt and pepper. We used Lowry's seasoning salt. We cheated. That was our to-go. That was our to-go seasoning mix.
Yeah.
Lowry's seasoning salt. And people just loved our steaks.
Well, if there's anybody whose seasoning I'm going to trust, it's going to be the guys behind Lowry's prime rib in, Los Angeles and Chicago and all over the world, because that prime rib, you've built your entire business around one cut of meat, and it's amazing.
Absolutely. And to this day, I still use it.
Yeah.
When I have special guests at our culinary center, I break out the Lowry's. I mean, come on, right?
Absolutely. Our good friend, we'll plug another podcast that you can go back and listen to. Our good friend Nick Solaris from New York by way of London was in, and he's always been on Team Prime Rib. Even when nobody else wanted to serve prime rib, Nick was the one who to this day swears by, give me that slow roasted crust, gentle inside,
wow. Right.
And that is something that I think we're beginning to see more and more of. Maybe just at the very cusp. I was in Miami, right, this weekend, which is kind of funny.
Super Bowl, right?
I was at the Super Bowl, which is ironic from the standpoint of I don't really enjoy football or celebrities. But I like food.
It was a good party, right?
It was a great party. It was a great party. There was a steakhouse in Fort Lauderdale, which is up by it's actually really close to the Fort Lauderdale airport, called Tropical Acres. Mm-hmm. And I looked this place up, and they're 70 years old. They turned 70 last year. And if you look at the menu, I had to go in and dine, right? I had to make the ultimate sacrifice. And although I was already stuffed out of my brain from the Super Bowl festivities,
sure,
I had to go and eat at Tropical Acres, right? Because in the name of research, because I love our listeners that much, I will eat a second meal for you. So I went to this place, and the only thing that has changed since it opened in 1949 are the menu prices, right? In 1949, the filet mignon on their menu costed $1.49.
Unbelievable.
And,
unreal.
But it was the epitome of old school South Florida dining. I had the steak au poivre, I had the cream spinach with the onion rings, and the dirty martini with 2 olives and blue cheese.
Was it made? Wow.
It's
with blue cheese.
Phenomenal.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
But it was so unique in the standpoint of I'd forgotten a lot of what that tasted like. I'd forgotten that I missed it. It was kind of one of those moments that it's been so long since I've seen a dessert cart wheel up to my table after I was done to choose what dessert I wanted, that I'd forgotten how incredible that old-time steakhouse experience is.
It's coming back. I'm telling you, history repeats itself.
It's amazing.
Right? I mean, not only did we have the porterhouse, the T-bone, we had filet, we had ribeye, we had strips, right? And out the door, sold, right? But we would do the old-fashioned Irish coffee, bananas Foster, cherries Jubilee. I mean, tableside, Brian. Now you can't
with the
do
flames,
it because
right? With
now
the
because now the brown sugar's so hot when it sticks to your lip, you're going to sue somebody, right? I mean, no, you don't want that to happen, but hey, those were the days,
That's
my
right.
friend, right?
And Don Rickles is at the table
and
behind
Don
you making
Rickles,
snide comments.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, I'll never forget the time that somebody complained in the dining room. They found a quarter in the bottom of the bowl of the onion soup, and they wanted my father to come over, and this guy was making a huge scene, and he goes, "Look, what kind of restaurant is this? I found a quarter in my soup. How did it get there?" And in front of the whole dining room, which was packed, he started clapping his hands and started shouting, "Guess what? This gentleman found the quarter in his onion soup. Dinner is free, and the next time you come back, dinner is for free." And everybody threw a party, clapped. And guess what? That moment was over. He had handled it.
Happy
right?
as can be.
It was happy as can be.
Happy as can be. Didn't show up on Yelp or anything.
It didn't show up on Yelp. None.
Chef, in a couple minutes, we're going to transition and we're going to sit down with our good friend from Prime Cincinnati, Chef Sean Hine.
Chef Sean, one of my friends.
Yeah, who is... although we are powered by certified Angus beef, we truly try and encompass all things food, not just the beef world, and certainly not just certified Angus beef. But Sean Hine, Prime Cincinnati, is the reigning Steakhouse of the Year, as recognized by Certified Angus Beef at our annual conference, which is held each September. That said, one of the things that we wanted to talk to Sean about, somebody who has to compete in a Midwestern town. These are meat and potatoes people, right? He is in a steakhouse city where there's Prime Cincinnati, and within 3 blocks, probably 12 other steakhouses, including some that have been around for a long, long time in Cincinnati.
A lot of competition.
We're going to talk to him about the things that he has to do to make what he's putting on a plate different. And one of the things that he does, the restaurant's called Prime Cincinnati. He uses Certified Angus Beef Prime, so he makes sure that marbling score is to what it is. One of the things we talked about, Chef, and I know you've seen a lot of this, is the tenderloin, right? A lot of times you'll see a tenderloin, and you'll go to a restaurant, and the whole menu might be prime or high choice, and then the tenderloin may be something that's a little lower quality because it's tender, right? And generally, generally tenderloins are kind of void of intramuscular fat, right?
Correct.
But in your experience, man, once you've had a tenderloin that's got marbling in it, there's no going back, right?
I'll tell you, I graduated high school. I went to work for my dad. He owned that restaurant called the Granary, and the first thing that I put in my mouth was a roasted or grilled tenderloin steak. And honestly, Brian, that was I could never avoid that steak for the next 2 years. It was it was just magical. The bite, the chew, the flavor. Just incredible. Who doesn't like an 8-ounce beautiful tenderloin, especially if it's certified Angus beef, right? I'm going to plug it.
Amen, sir. Amen, sir. John Foltz, our good friend down in Louisiana, right? When he's doing a steak, he's not messing around. He goes straight to the tenderloin. And sometimes the tenderloin gets knocked because a lot of times it can lack intramuscular fat. Although once you get into the upper 2/3 of choice, up into prime, those tenderloins are going to be marbled a little bit more. John Foltz doesn't mess around. He goes straight to the tenderloin when he's doing steak, especially when pairing with a lot of his Cajun Creole dishes, right?
Sure.
We're not messing around here. So, Chef, we are going to take a break.
Okay.
We're going to turn it over and sit down with Chef Sean Hine from Prime Cincinnati, the reigning Certified Angus Beef Steakhouse of the Year. And you and I are going to come back, and we're going to talk more meat and, maybe some of the favorite old-time sides, because nothing made me more excited than when I went down the list of sides at Tropical Acres last week. It just
Let's talk about a wedge salad, my friend.
Game on. We'll be back in a few. Chef Tony Biggs, Brian Schaff. What is this? Oh, it's called Meat Speak, powered by the Certified Angus Beef brand. Back here on the Meat Speak podcast, coming to you from downtown Cincinnati. What is this, the Arts District? Yeah. That's what this is called. Prime Cincinnati. Sitting with me is chef, partner, and fellow member of We're Okay Not Being Members of the Hair Club for Men, Chef Sean Hine. Chef, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm about to devour one of your dry-aged hamburgers. So there are a few times in my life when I'm more excited. There's Christmas morning, fine, but then there's sitting in Prime Cincinnati waiting for a dry-aged burger to hit the table in front of you. It's a rare feeling, and it's one that I feel pretty good about. So, Chef, we wanted to sit down and talk to you a little bit about steaks, right? Because Prime Cincinnati, you're not a furniture shop down here. But before we really get into that, can you tell us a little bit about Prime Cincinnati? Because when you think about Cincinnati, man, there's a lot of meat down here. This is a Midwest town. People love their steak. Tell us about what you guys are about down here.
Well, Prime Cincinnati, we're about prime meat. I mean, just like our name says, we're here to deliver the best possible meat and experience that we can. With a lot of competition around, so we have to serve the best.
Well put. Well put. You guys are, can you tell us your location? You're right in the Arts District. I mean, you're really right in the heart of it all. I don't know what that thing is. We've never really discussed it. It's almost like a little San Francisco rice-a-roni trolley that rolls past here, right?
Yeah, that's the, I think it's Cincinnati Bell trolley. We put it, I think it went in about 2 years ago. But it takes you all around the city, and it makes a lot of stops, and you're able to go down by the stadiums all the way to OTR and Findlay Market.
Cool. But not San Francisco.
No.
Sadly. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? You're not a native Cincinnati guy. You are a rare chef who actually grew up, I don't know if I'll say an agricultural background, but you grew up slinging hay bales on a farm, right?
Yeah, I worked my share of dairy farms in central New York, anywhere from 100 head up to 500 head. Working for a lady, Brenda Talbot, which I'll never forget. Her calves were as big as my thighs, and they were all muscle. You didn't want your hay bales to be a foot apart on the escalator, else you'd be in a lot of.
So tell us about how you got into cooking.
Cooking came to me. I've done everything from brick, block, concrete, flooring, just physical labor. And I enjoy physical labor. And something that is physical is being a chef, but it's you're able to use your creative side, your brain, along with the physicality of it, and I think that really appealed to me. So I got lucky enough to jump in 1998 in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware.
And Prime Cincinnati, you got here, if I understand it, because your wife is a Cincinnati native, and you just happened to, get on and open up, the best steakhouse in the city. Yeah.
Yeah, we went from Chicago, and I followed a girl. And then we came back to her hometown. Her hometown is just north here in Mason, Ohio. We came back here and started putting out kids and, making a family.
Can you tell us about Prime Cincinnati? You're either just turned or are about to turn 4 years old, and it's really been since you and your partner Nelson Castillo took over. It really has just been just a shooting star right in downtown.
Yeah, we took over just under 4 years ago. Well, we took over just over 4 years ago, but we Prime Cincinnati evolved, I think, in June 4 years ago. We just have a vision, and we want to be the best in the city and really evolve that vision. We know it takes a lot of money to make money, and the marketing is a huge aspect of it, but finishing off that marketing when people do come in the doors and really making the best experience available that we can offer is huge to us, and making guests just feel like they're the only one in the room.
You're a chef who you've spent significant time up in the Culinary Center at Certified Angus Beef in Worcester, Ohio with Diana Clark. So you know a fair bit of meat science, or at least a whole lot more than your average chef. When you look at your menu, right now there's such a push on a lot of alternative cuts, on what's new, what's hip, what isn't anybody using, what has nobody heard of. But man, steakhouses, if you don't have the bastions of the middle meats on the menu, good luck calling yourself a steakhouse, right? You guys are doing it. You're continually growing year after year, and you're in the Midwest where people eat a lot of meat. Tell me about what you guys are doing to, something as simple as a tenderloin that makes the tenderloin you can get at Prime Cincinnati different than the tenderloin you can get down the street.
Well, for me, it's seasoning. It's the seasoning, it's the marbleization in the meat compared to what I started with the other guy. It's to me, we use a grill. I have a grill. It's high heat, but it's a grill. It's not a broiler. I don't really think that a broiler delivers the meat that I want. I don't like burnt meat and a rub. It's seasoning, but the consistency of a filet and the marbleization in the fillets that I see is far superior to what I think the guy down the street is getting. and the consistency of it is unbelievable.
Talking about the fillet, it is one of those cuts that it is a standard, but it's never anything that you would necessarily say is in vogue. I mean, it is the most tender cut. If anything, it gets knocked because although it's super tender, most tenderloins don't have a lot of marbling, right? As somebody who, you've been working in kitchens for a long time, I mean, the tenderloins you bring in, that's not just, red lean meat that you're looking at generally, isn't it?
No, tenderloins are tender, but if you don't have any marbleization in one, it's gonna eat dry. It's not gonna eat and really work your palate. And the tenderloins that I see on a consistent basis, on a daily basis, that I cut loins down, has been spectacular. The marbleization, it's getting better and better every year, and it's in demand. If you don't have that, and you don't, that's not gonna. Nothing's going to set you aside as is a nice, good marbleized, tenderloin from CAB.
Can you talk about some of the other stuff that you guys have? You mentioned you do a lot of your cutting in the back. I guess before we get into the scientific part, how do you run a kitchen if you're not cutting it yourself as a chef? I mean, or do you just cut everything yourself as a chef? I mean, you grew up slinging hay bales, but I mean, how difficult is it to keep a staff that, is cutting things the right way to make sure that you're maximizing your profits on these?
Well, right now it's me and one other guy. Me and my sous chef Alec and me are the only ones that are cutting the meat. For consistency, just as CAB is, you got to have a consistent cut, and mine are within a half ounce of what's on the menu religiously. If I cut under that, it goes into my grind for my burgers. It's anywhere from our New York strip to our ribeye to our fillets. Everything is cut down from loins, and then the people who eat my burgers reap the benefits.
Well put. Excellent. So tell us about your overall mix. There are middle meat bastions that I think I think it's actually written. I think there actually is a law that if you are a steakhouse, you have to offer these certain cuts. But tell us about the mix of steaks that you guys offer.
We got the fillet, we got the strip, we got the ribeye, and then I do a dry age in house that I offer the bone-in ribeyes, my exports, my shells, for KCs and all that. Cut them in house in my cooler and my bandsaw. It's that's what's been a lot of fun too, is actually being able to really work the dry age side of it and really find the best that I can find.
How's your dry age been received on here? There is this idea that you can only really have dry aged beef in New York City, in Los Angeles, in Chicago, the Midwestern palate, right? They want their wet aged, grain finished beef. But I mean, you've had dry aged on your menu for a long time. Is it something that, do you have a lot of people who are kind of taking the plunge?
Yeah, we sell a pretty good amount. One thing I did notice is I cut down my KCs down to 10 ounces. And I have a 10-ounce KC for the smaller portion. And we started really moving them. And I can't keep on the menu all the time because I don't have a big enough dry age cooler. But it comes in my clods for my burger, or my exports and my shells, and I just keep on playing around with other stuff too. I've done a short rib in there. I've done some lamb in there and stuff like that. But when it comes down to the exports, you can't really beat them.
So, just because Cincinnati, I feel like people don't understand everything that is in Cincinnati. But if you really look at it from a business standpoint, I mean, it is the world headquarters of several major corporations. There's a lot going on down here. It also is home to the oldest Major League Baseball team, the very first Major League Baseball team. Did you know this? The Cincinnati Redlegs, right? They were playing baseball in the 1800s when they would have like bow ties on there. It was amazing. But if people are come into Prime Cincinnati, what are three things that, man, if you've got one night to dine at Prime Cincinnati, like what's the experience? What do you have to get?
You gotta try my dry age, right? I mean, that's a given. Just for the atmosphere alone, our live jazz on the weekends, our whole environment down here. You know, we're right across the street from the Aronoff, which is, you know, a theater, Broadway theater, ballet. I mean, to come in here, if you have a special holiday or a birthday or anything like that, let us know ahead of time, and we'll make it the best that you can even think of.
Yeah, you know what? And you touch on something. You and your business partner, Nelson, you know, you kind of run the kitchen, take care of things in the back. Nelson runs the front of the house. I mean, dude is like the smoothest human being I think I've ever met. You know, how much work do you guys put into making sure that not just everything behind the scenes is up to par, but man, the making sure your staff is up to, because the dining experience here, you know, hell, I think my water's been refilled like 4 times and I've only been here like 20 minutes. I mean, how much work do you guys put into making sure that the attentiveness to the entire experience all comes together?
I mean, to be honest with you, we're hard, man. We're hard on our staff. We're hard on ourselves. You know, we're hard on ourselves first. But, you know, to be able to be the best, you gotta be able to put out the best. And, you know, it's just constant training, constant just being up on all the trends, being up on what's going on around us, you know, and really paying attention. Nelson brings marketing and the front of the house to the table that nobody else in the city, you know, and I expect my back of the house to act the same. And, you know, we got a great staff. Most of my guys in my kitchen have been with me almost the whole time that we've been here. My sous chef Alex has been with me for about 7 years, you know, and I wanted to constantly grow them and grow that staff and make them better every day. You know, if I don't do that, then I'm not doing my job.
A couple final quick questions. What's your beef cut?
Oh, man, you know, you can't go wrong with a short rib.
Interesting. I did not think, because you know, knowing you, I would imagine that you're more, because I imagine, you know, for personal use, you're cooking something over some raging fire outside in a forest somewhere.
Yeah, that too. I mean, my mom just bought me a nice cast iron pot, though.
Short ribs for Sean. And you have short ribs on the menu?
Yeah, we do have a short rib over a bacon risotto.
I'll have that. All right. All right. Chef Sean Hine from Prime Cincinnati. If you have time, come to Cincinnati, hop on the little rice-a-roni trolley that runs by. Actually, it's going right by right now. I can see it out the window. And come on down to Prime Cincinnati. Pop in, ask for Chef, ask for Nelson Castillo. They'll take you. They'll take good care of you. Chef, appreciate you taking time. Back here on the Meat Speak podcast, powered by the certified Angus beef brand, Brian Schaff, Chef Tony Biggs. Chef, we're talking steakhouses of yesteryear and all the things that it encompasses. And until you are able to revisit this, man, it's almost like tasting your grandmother's cooking. And you know, she made, you know, and she's passed 30 years ago. You don't know what you have forgotten until you are reminded of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm with you. And, you know, I'm going back to my dad's restaurant again, the Granary. It was open in the 70s, early 70s. Unfortunately, the door got locked because he failed to pay Social Security tax on his employees. And so, you know, the IRS came down and put a nice big lock on the door. But we're not going to talk about that, right? We're going to talk about some of the side dishes we served at his restaurant.
yeah.
The side dishes that I learned how to do that he loved. And, of course, everybody loves the classic Caesar salad. I mean, every steakhouse probably has a classic Caesar along with the wedge salad.
The wedge, man. There's something about, especially when it is served so you can make your own. You've got your lettuce, and then everything kind of comes, you know, you've got your bacon, you've got your...
Yep. I love fresh bacon bits when they're warm and not cold. Chefs, listen to me. Some of you out there, you know who you are. You know, you go to put the bacon bits on, and guess what? It's been chilled a little bit, and you have this coating of fat that surrounds the bacon bits. That is not good, Chef. Take it away. Warm them up. Keep them nice and warm. When you serve that salad, place it on there. Let it go with some nice, beautiful blue cheese, and of course, more blue cheese
all day long. All day long.
Creamy blue cheese.
Oh, there are certain flavors that just fit together.
Love
and a wedge salad. And I'm saying this as I think I eat as much or more meat as anybody on the planet. I'm quite certain. But I'm saying this salad.
Salad.
It's old school. There's nothing fancified about it.
No. Gorgeous, beautiful, tomato, blue cheese, crumbled. I mean, let's just turn this thing up a notch. Some diced tomatoes. You love it, right?
Game on.
Couple of other things, Brian. We used to have a sweet potato pie, homemade crust, about an inch of sweet potato with honey, brown sugar, a little bourbon. Top it up with some mini marshmallows. How do you like that? Marshmallows. And then torch those little things. We did this in the 70s.
Yeah.
Okay? Along with our baked stuffed potato. Take the potato out. Beautiful. Sour cream, chive, bacon bits, cheddar cheese. Stuff that potato back in. More cheddar cheese. Brian, I love cheddar cheese, right? Out the door. Yeah. Out the door.
I would have thought by the year 2020, we would have figured out how to raise potatoes with cheddar cheese in them. I mean, can we get on that?
Sour cream. I mean, come on, right? How about people are doing cream spinach?
Yeah.
We've always done cream spinach, right?
Yeah.
Now people are doing it a little bit different with kale. But I love the cream spinach, a little bit of garlic. How do you like that? Garlic. And a little bit of nutmeg, cream, Parmesan cheese, Swiss cheese, make a little bechamel.
Yeah.
Oh, this goes incredible.
Oh, yeah.
With steak.
Yeah.
With your favorite steak. Right?
All day long.
Marinated mushrooms. Oh,
yeah.
You can use the white buttons, saute them a little bit of garlic, butter, a little bit of sherry wine, red wine, reduce those things down. When you got them reduced, they're beautifully cooked. You have an order. You put them in that little French onion soup bowl with a crock of Swiss cheese, a little bit of Parmesan cheese under the broiler. Are you kidding me? And how about French onion soup, that classic?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The other day we put brisket, shredded brisket in the French onion soup.
Yeah.
And loaded it with Emmental cheese, a beautiful cheesy crouton, and it was just mouth-watering.
It's beautiful. You were like super excited about this, aren't you?
I'm super excited today.
Chef, we've seen you make all sorts of things over at the Culinary Center across the parking lot here in beautiful Worcester, Ohio.
Beautiful.
You actually just did a full-on Asian lunch yesterday that was so good, although the soup, my tongue is still burning a day later.
It was for our Korean guests from Atlanta. They had driven all the way. Did you know that they had driven all the way from Atlanta to be here in Worcester, Ohio? That's a 12-hour trip. And the first thing they asked was kimchi, right? Little did they know, we put on a 6-course Korean lunch for them. We had kalbi ribs. We had beautiful flanken ribs that were marinated in kalbi seasoning and grilled to perfection. And then we had bulgogi with certified Angus beef strip loin and ribeye and a bulgogi dressing with a little bit of sesame seed. And then we did a beautiful soup with brisket, stock, egg, bok choy. It was hot. I know. It was a little bit hot. And we did tteokbokki, which is a rice noodle dish. Again, very spicy. Yeah. But we put a little bit of smoked chuck roll in there. Turn it up a notch the certified Angus beef way. Amazing.
Amen. You can turn you can cook anything from around the world. The thing that I want to see you pull off, and I want to make sure I get an invitation to this lunch when you do.
Okay.
I want the Tony Biggs 1978 Granary Inn lunch. I want the steak au poivre.
You got it.
Or steak Diane.
I'm getting the menu.
I want the full spread.
I'm gonna write my sister. She's gonna send the menu.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the menu on here. We're gonna do steak and quail. Okay, we're gonna do it for you, just for you.
I want flames table side.
We're gonna do flambe, and I'm gonna sing for you. Okay. I know. I'm gonna sing for you.
That's perfect.
Oklahoma, right? Oh, Oklahoma, where the wind blows. That's all I'm going to sing for now. Just a little taste, ladies and gentlemen.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. Chef Tony Biggs, this has truly been a pleasure. I'm going to be bugging you with all sorts of questions about old-time steakhouses now.
Okay,
because even as we're talking about this, I'm like, man, a baked potato sounds really good right now.
With sour cream.
Yeah.
Chives. bacon bits,
Yeah.
cheddar cheese. I mean, come on, who does? I mean, that is like just incredible. I do that at home.
Yeah.
And we have the baked potato is another conversation.
Yeah.
So many places I go into, sometimes they don't even know how to cook the baked potato. You have to overcook it.
Yeah.
So it's like a mashed potato when you cut it open.
Yep.
And that thing is just piping hot. The smoke is filling the air.
Yeah.
That's when you bam, add your butter.
Yeah. Well, there's you know how you cook a baked potato.
How?
It's even if you're not hungry,
Okay.
you put it in the oven because a couple days later, by the time it actually sounds pretty good, it might be done by then.
Hey, do you know another side dish that I failed to mention was you take those baked potatoes,
Yeah.
what we did, from leftover from the night before, and we wedge cut them. We deep fry them, toss them in garlic butter, parsley, and then sprinkle Parmesan cheese on them.
Parmesan, starch, and garlic.
And the other day we made a garlic toum, Toum. It's a garlic sauce from Lebanon, and you dip these wedge fries into that.
Yeah. It's a
It
good
makes
day.
you want to slap somebody.
Slap somebody's mama.
Slap somebody.
Don't-
I didn't say mama.
don't slap my mama, 'cause
I'm not
she'll swing back.
Your mama will come after me. I know her. She's got a hard right.
Chef Tony Biggs, appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule away from the Culinary Center here in Worcester, Ohio, to join us on the Meat Speak podcast powered by the certified Angus beef brand. If this is your first time tuning in, know that you can find us across all of your major podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google Play, or simply by typing in certifiedangusbeef.com/podcast. And you'll find
Love you,
it
Brian.
right back at you, brother.
Love you, baby.
I believe this is number 17 or 18 in the
Tell your
podcast
friends to
mix,
tune
so
in. We're giving away a BMW. Are we giving a BMW?
I think you are.
Kidding.
Once it's out there, right?
Yep.
Sweepstakes, baby. Until next time, thanks for tuning into Meat Speak, powered by the certified Angus beef brand, and we'll see you later.